All right, good evening, everybody. Sorry for the technical difficulties. Welcome to the February school board meeting. Good to be back. We're going to go ahead and start with our flag salute. I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Hoff.
Yeah, before we stand up, Crook River was on the queue to provide the Pledge of Allegiance Students Day, and instead of students, they decided to send us a video of their entire student body with the Pledge of Allegiance. So let's stand, and they'll get it started for us.
Ready, begin.
Hey, let's give it up for those crooked.
Good job. Thank you for that. That was very fun. All right, Ms. Tammy, will you please note that all 5 board members are present? Yep. We're going to move on to 2.0, additions, deletions, revisions, and agenda approval. Do we have any, or do we have a motion?
I'll move to approve the consent agenda.
Nope.
No.
The additions still.
I thought you were waiting for additions, it was done. So, nothing.
Is that a motion? No, we don't have anything. Do we have a second for nothing?
Second for nothing.
Okay, so do we have any further discussion? Nothing for you because you don't have your tablet yet. So we're good. Okay, so we have roll call. So let's go ahead and do Kevin.
Here.
Mr. Cooper
Yes.
and Eric
Here.
and Kelsey
Yes.
and myself, yes. So recognition, we're going to turn it over to Dr. Hoff.
Yeah, before I pull our NJROTC students up, we've talked a lot about our academic program and our dual credits and our AP scores, and how we've worked really hard to create that track for students. Then we've also talked a lot about the trades and all the industry certifications that we provide students in our schools. And I was able to attend the regional NJROTC inspection over the last month, and I was able to sit in on as our senior students presented the regional commander with what our NJROTC program is all about. And I thought it'd be so cool to bring in some of our NJROT seniors and highlight this other track that we offer for our students that are interested in military careers and beyond. So with that, I'm going to invite 6 of our NJROT seniors, as well as their teachers, coaches, as well, and come on up and we'll introduce them and talk a little about what their plans are. So we'll have you guys line up right here. So these are our NJROT seniors. Okay. Dr. Svoboda, who would you recommend we talk to first?
Well, let's go with the big man.
Willard. So Willard, if you want to tell our board what your plans are after high school and then your favorite quick NJROTC memory.
So after high school, I plan on going to Maine Maritime Academy for the 5-year Marine Systems Engineering program under an NROTC scholarship. And from there, go in as an officer in the Navy.
Oh.
My favorite JRC memory has got to be the trip that we took to Bremerton last year for a brain brawl competition. And we also got to visit the USS Turner Joy while we were there.
Thanks. Awesome. Let's give him a hand round. And it's Dakota West. Dakota, you get to hold your certificate.
Thank you. So I actually, however, am a junior this year, but after high school, I plan to go to a college in Idaho for the 4 years, participate in the Army ROTC, commission as an officer, and then I want to become a veterinarian for that.
Awesome.
Let's give a round of applause.
While Willard is the company commander, Dakota is the executive officer of the XO, number 2. It traditionally I like to have it be a junior. So she has to play that delicate dance of being in charge of a whole bunch of seniors.
Pretty cool.
Chris is our senior enlisted.
Chris,
Hi, guys. So, sorry, I'm just a little bit nervous, but anyways, after high school, I am working towards a scholarship to attend the University of Arizona, so I can become a commissioned officer for the Navy. That's the goal, hopefully. If not, then I'm just gonna enlist right away. You know, that's my option B. My favorite memory is actually most recent that happened in November, where we hosted a bake sale where we had a bunch of kids wake up really early, in the freezing cold, just to set up our little bake sale. And I'm gonna be honest, I didn't have faith because our goals seemed a little too high. We set a goal at like 1,200 or 1,500, and we actually got 2,000. It was just incredible. So honestly, it's just having everyone there, suffer together, and achieve our beyond our goal was honestly amazing. But yeah.
Hey, let's give Chris a round of applause.
I thought it was gonna say when he got on the podium for unarmed drill, but no, okay.
Big sale.
Holt, he, now to our department heads, he's our admin officer.
Yes, after high school, I'm going to Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University in Prescott, Arizona. I'm going August 10th on a chancellor scholarship, so not a full scholarship, still gotta cover a little bit of money. But then I go with the Air Force ROTC and plan to commission afterwards for anywhere from 4 to 20 years. I'm still deciding. My favorite memory would probably have to be Northwest Youth Leadership Conference. It was about a week long at Pacific Lutheran University last summer, and it was more focused towards college-based like team bonding and everything.
Hey, let's give Holt a round of applause. You might have recently seen Holt on the news as he is a leader for our drones program and was featured on a Central Oregon Daily recently. So very, very cool.
To Brooke. She is our ops officer, operations, first year in the program and has a department head position, so there you have it.
My plans for after high school, I'm planning on joining the Army and doing and working with canines in their canine working dog unit to train them to do the things like sniffing out things that aren't supposed to be there. And if that doesn't work out, I'm just gonna enlist in the Army. And then my favorite ROTC memory is probably either the comps or the Veterans Day Parade.
Very cool. Hey, let's give Brooke a round of applause.
Last but not least, our supply officer and soon to be Marine.
I'm Colby Thompson. After high school, I plan to enlist in the Marine Corps. And through the Marine Corps, I plan to be a drill instructor within my second contract. And then after my second contract, I plan to go to OCS, Officer Candidate School, and become an officer. And I plan to do 20 years, but we'll see where life takes me. My favorite ROTC memory has to be the sea cruise from
Whoa, that was a long time ago.
mine, Chris, and Holt's freshman year. The boys all slept out in the grass, and the girls got a nice cushy house. And yeah, just let you go on.
Hey, let's give Colby a round of applause. Any questions from the board for this outstanding group of students?
I do. Your bake sale, you're raising money for something very specific. Do you want to tell everybody about that?
So we are trying to raise around $78,000 to have the opportunity to go to Washington DC, where we got invited to do the National Memorial Day Parade.
So yeah,
Yeah, we're currently at 41,000. We need 25,000 more.
By when?
By, yeah, April 1st.
We're currently bringing 39 cadets with us.
Which is
Wow.
a little half our program. Kind of excited to think about that. It's very cool.
We're also not only bringing us, we are also participating with Mountain View High School and Lafayette High School. Mountain View has, however, met their goal, but Lapine and us are still reaching.
We're gonna get there.
Yeah, I hope.
The community has been generous.
Yes.
Very
very.
good.
What other questions from the board?
I don't have a question, but I have a comment for you guys. This program, if you dig way back in history before you were born, somebody actually, there was a group of community members trying to kill it. They didn't like the military presence in the schools. And the community rose up and the community said, we're not killing that program. We love that program. We love what those guys are doing. And you have done nothing since then except build on that reputation, which you really deserved back then. There are programs, NJROTC programs dying around the country because they just can't get the enrollment. You guys had never let that happen. There's something extraordinary that goes on within the Crook County NJROTC. There's 6 extraordinary parts of it right there that keeps it alive here and keeps that spirit alive. And I just want to acknowledge the extraordinariness of it all. That it's not just any NJROTC program, it's the Crook County program. So thank you for what you've done to make it that one.
Fantastic. We're gonna take a picture and then we're gonna give them a round of applause.
Hey, you might have to scoot in a little closer here. Big smiles. Thank you.
Before we applause, one other staff members we want to represent, because when you talk about what is amazing about our program, and it definitely starts with Dr. Svoboda and Mr. Brandau and the time and effort and hours after the workday that they put in, that really is the heart of this program. So with that said, let's give all of them a round of Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Okay, the next group we're gonna recommend or recognize is our staff. So you might have seen on the news, we actually got a 97.8% district graduation rate. I believe that put us in the top 5 in the state for cohorts over 100 students. So there are so many people to thank for this. Staff from cafeteria, bus drivers, aides, all of those that go to this K-12 recognition. But I did want to bring up a few people, Mr. Huffman and the high school team, as well as Michelle Jonas and Mackenzie Kudlak. And I think Jake wanted to welcome our counselors up as well. Double reading for our counselors. So, I think one of the quotes on the paper was, "This does not happen by accident. We have been tracking these students from the time they entered our doors at freshman." A special shout out to Mackenzie, who's our graduation coach. She meets kids where they're at. She drives to Dairy Queen to, if they're working there, to say time to get back in school. This group and our counselors, Sean and Darren, above and beyond to reduce barriers for students. And there's not a one size fits all, and that's what I love about this district. Whatever a student needs, these people go above and beyond to make sure they're getting the support. So let's give them a big round of applause. School board, any questions for our leadership graduation support teams?
Just a big thank you for everything that you guys do. I know it's countless hours, but you guys are amazing, absolutely amazing. Thank you.
How much are you getting phone calls from other districts asking how you're consistently doing this?
Brendan's called a few times. I think we're getting a lot of calls from alternative schools too, right? The alternative school model has definitely been the one that people are trying to emulate.
Best alternative school in the state, right there.
It is, it's extraordinary. And it's a bit of a mystery to me why the answer to your graduation problem, people are sitting right in front of you, look at the numbers, and yet other schools don't take advantage of that. They're just stilted in the way they've always done things. So I'm sure you're all available whenever they get around to finally calling and finding out.
ODE actually,
We'd be happy to share.
share frequently and that kind of has us explain our system and ask us to present at conferences and stuff, so. All right, with that, we gotta take a picture.
Perfect.
And our community recognition was racing here. They're not here yet. If they do show up, they're coming from an appointment, so.
Do we want to get a final clap for them?
It is Zoe Austin, or final clap for the high school
Yes.
team. I think
So you'll let us know.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. All right, 4.0 student feedback.
I'm gonna invite, I thought it's Sophie,
Yeah.
Sophie, you wanna come up? So we are actually able to meet with the high school as well as our pioneer leadership this year, or this past week, so we have the feedback for them.
Welcome back, Sophie.
Sophie, welcome back.
Sophie time. This is the best part of the night.
So on the screen, this was the feedback, and I tried to break it down by, when Bree and I go and meet with the leadership, and I try to break it down by agenda topic, but by the end, if you've ever tried to wrangle 30 high schoolers on a topic, it kind of overlaps, so, I'll try to, stick by topic. So the issue on counselors, our high school leadership, they were so appreciative of their counselors, so Mr. Swick, Miss Haddon, Mr. Kessie, each of them were called out individually by high schoolers of being very helpful, particularly around the AAOT. That was something that really stuck out, as well as they mentioned that the counseling center provides student a real safe, warm, positive place where they feel they could go in to get support. Around math, the big feedback we heard was students do not like calculus fifth period. That is, they're done by the end of the day, you know, athletic trips. So they didn't really talk about sequences for so much, but more of let's not have calculus fifth period because by the end of the day, students are pretty fried. So they had some recommendations of maybe we have writing 121 or a social studies class. So that was really good. There was a few students that talked about the need for an algebra 2 honors, that the pacing of algebra 2 when everyone's together was hard. So having different options for students. They love that we're adding AP biology. That was something actually we've heard from the board. So that'll be fantastic. Mr. Burkby apparently is a hero. He got a lot of positive feedback from students. And then it kind of got mixed in with other topics where physics and chemistry, they need more updated supplies in there. So we'll work with the teacher on that, as well as the learning environment for physical science was in like a shop. So yeah, one section's in a shop. So they'd say, hey, could we shift that? Around our curriculum topic of social studies, they weren't really interested of whether we were postponing our social studies adoption or not, but they did have opinions on wanting sociology and psychology potentially added to the course book. They said, like I said, not a lot of concerns around social study curriculum. They wanted to maybe could we look at updating health occupations curriculum, as well as let's revisit foundational skills like reading an analog a clock. That was one thing that they said a lot of their peers are so used to their phones and digital clocks. So they said, hey, where can we fit that in? Mr. Cooper, you've been waiting for this for years. There was a long discussion on the need for more conventions and grammar instruction.
Angels are singing.
That they, one student mentioned he had just taken the SAT and there are all these conventions questions. And he's like, we haven't covered these since 5th grade. So we had a good conversation around that. As well as they were fine with the social studies curriculum being postponed. We talked a lot about English pacing of, you know, some classes have too much reading, some have too little. And then finally, we talked about facilities and safety, continuing to follow up. Real credit to our facilities department. They gave us a list of, the students generated a list of facilities concerns mainly around bathrooms, and facilities already hammered out a lot of those upgrades. And then continued discussion around bullying and safety, parking lot bullying, and getting some cameras around there. The pioneer feedback, very positive on the counselor, Miss Farger, caring and supportive. The math sequence and support, they said that the current structure's just fine. That the student we talked to was actually working with Mr. Carmack on retaking algebra because she wanted to go into welding. So that was something she really appreciated. In terms of overall curriculum, they really liked the structure of Pioneer. Odyssey Ware is working well. And the only other feedback was they wanted more expanded welding opportunities because that's their career. So like I said, the conversation didn't stay in our boxes, particularly for our agenda items, but that's the feedback. Sophie, what did I miss?
I think that covered it all pretty well. Yeah.
Board, any questions? And again, so much credit to Sophie Fisher. She shows up here, she's the voice of our students and is happy to be here on her own time.
Can you go back one slide?
Yeah.
What is the limited votes? Under English or social
I
studies?
believe, Sophie, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe they said, hey, we've been reading these same they like new novel sets of like, hey, can we get some different novel sets? So like, hey, we read The Man in the Sea in English, like are there other books that we could read? So they were not necessarily interested in social studies adoption, but English adoption, they seemed very interested in.
So what's your guys' thoughts on using some of the AI, like for studying and some of the LMs, is that going well, or is there other things you guys need?
I think it's going okay. I think the use of AI is always kind of like controversial. Like it can get a little out of hand, especially as like, not that teachers are using it, but sometimes teachers like use it as a tool to help us, and sometimes adding that in gives students the wrong idea of how to use AI. So maybe like some more education on how to use AI, but I think
Are you
it's
guys using it for studying or like test prep or?
yeah, sometimes we use it for that. We recently, like in my writing 121 class, we just did a paper on generative AI, and we had to use AI to find our sources. So
Do you guys feel like this is like a productive conversation that people are actually hearing you guys?
I think so. Yeah. I think so.
You would tell us if you know.
Yeah.
We certainly have a lot to say.
Sorry.
Don't ever be sorry for
Yes.
that. We love hearing students' voices. So if anything, like this year, having you come to these meetings and again, your feedback has been phenomenal. Like, I love that you guys woke up and found your voice.
So Dr. Hoff, when I cast my mind back, I realized that there have been 5 configurations of this board since we started talking about adding biology, psychology, and sociology. What is the holdup?
I can get back, I think it's the AP and getting the right person trained, but I can report
Do you know
back.
how long it takes to get 5 configurations of
Yes.
the board?
Well,
What no?
not as long as you would think. But yes, that's something we can make sure. I believe it's planned for next year. I'll confirm that and bring that back next.
Because it's been on the priority list
Yeah,
for every single one of the boards. At
Yeah.
some point, we just need to pull the trigger and do it.
for sure. I believe we were articulating with the college, so that kind of slowed down, but going the AP route, I believe that's the plan for next year. I'll confirm that though.
Joel, can we get at least I get a copy of those 2 slides?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and these are in your packet because we meet right before the Thursday before.
Right,
So
yeah. Perfect, okay. Thank you.
let's give it up for Sophie
So,
for
thank you
again.
so much. Does she have anything more? Or is that it? I mean, Sophie, are you good? Do you have any questions of us?
I'm good.
You're good, okay. I was like, double check. Well, we ask her, so, maybe it's fair that she gets to ask us something, so, okay, thank you. 5.0, approval of the consent agenda.
Yeah,
Big movement.
well, but there are no revisions, so
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and move to approve the consent agenda.
Do we have a second? Okay, we have a motion to approve the consent agenda and a second. Do we have any discussion? Okay, let's go ahead and vote. Kelsey,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Kevin,
Yes.
and yes as well. Thank you so much. Okay, finance report, moving on to Miss Anna Logan.
Good evening. I have the finance report in the packet, which is essentially unchanged from last month. So I thought I would just provide time for questions, and if none, we could move to the next topics. They're probably more interesting.
I don't know, Anna, I follow a lot of other school districts and, you're seeing all these stories of people having to lay people off and make terrible budget decisions, and I just wanted to say thank you for everything you've done to make it so we're not in that really tough situation, and I think it says a lot of you and your leadership and time.
They may just be ahead of us, I'm not sure.
Okay, are we good to move to 6.2? Okay, yep.
Okay, so 6.2, this is an annual thing that we bring to the board.
because we have a salary scale that includes stipends for our summer school administrators, but it just needs to be approved on a different timeline. So these three line items that are in this handout are just kind of extracted from that scale, and we're proposing an increase of 1% to these summer school administrator stipends. Because we're already planning summer school right now, so that's why we want to do this now. We don't know when the other part of this schedule will be brought to the board. And if you're wondering why the stipends are different, it's because of the size and scope of the summer school programs at the different sites.
Where did the 1% number come from? By there? Read it.
If we know what the rest of the scales are gonna look like for the following year, we usually just apply that. We won't know that for quite some time, and it's hard to even know if we will have an increase, and so we apply to 1% because the funds that are available for summer school can handle that.
Madam Chair, I move to approve the salary amounts for summer school administrators shown on the attachments.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the 2026 salary amounts as presented, and a second. Do we have further discussion? Okay, let's vote. Kevin,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
Kelsey,
Yes.
and I guess as well. Thank you. Thank you, Anna. Okay, we're gonna move to the superintendent update, where we're gonna start with 7.1, the counseling program.
Gotcha.
Welcome.
Thanks. Okay, so we're gonna talk about just the full district counseling team just report, and this was from last year into February of this year. So we're just gonna give you guys a overview of where we're at, who we are. So I'm Darren Ketsey, I'm a counselor at the high school.
I'm Sean Swick, I'm the other counselor, one of the other counselors at the high school.
Whitney Carmack, I'm the school counselor at Steens Pillar and Grizzly Mountain Elementary Schools. And then to round out our counseling staff, we have Brittany Haddon at the high school, Ashley Takagi is at the middle school, Josh Schroeder, Whitney, and Becca Fox are also elementary counselors, and then Rachel Fogger is the counselor at Pioneer. So one of the things that we talk about, counseling is a process for something we provide for every student in the district, and it's viewed a little differently depending on the grade level. So at the elementary level, we talk about the foundation, and at the elementary level, we do social awareness, emotional regulation, and then a sense of safety and belonging. That's a big focus there. And then as they move into middle school, it's about navigating critical transitions and prioritizing safety, connection, and early mental health intervention. And at the high school, it's about readiness for life beyond graduation, and through academic planning, career guidance, increased mental health support, and then Sean's going to talk about this a little bit later, but future ready skills. So we have this nice graphic again, so that's a good visual. Ultimately, we want students to feel seen, safe, and supported. So the model that we use to do this is relationship building is really at the heart of it. We help in safety and crisis response situations. We help to advocate and provide equitable services to students. We provide community connections and life and career readiness. So we're going to break down a little bit the different levels, what some numbers have looked like. This is the elementary level for September through about mid-January of this year. So we talked a little bit about how in the early years we want to really focus on engaging students and building relationships by having frequent check-ins, group lessons, really teach social emotional basics to our young students and build trust with the school staff.
So this year, I personally have had 142 one-on-one check-ins, at least through about mid-January. Delivered about 40 group lessons, 19 teacher referrals, and about 9 referrals from parents.
All right, and so the middle school builds on some of the skills. It builds a bridge, so to speak, between the elementary school and the middle school or high school. And so it's really a shift where students start to seek out help for themselves. They start to really their counselor becomes their best friend and they want to be in there all the time. And it's like getting them back to class. And it's like, I'm here to help you academically and then, or social emotionally, mentally, and then we're going to get you back in class because we need you to graduate or pass your classes. So a lot of guardrails in middle school have to be put in because it's such a chaotic time. And I think there's a lot of emotional regulation and things like that that starts to come up with puberty and maturing and that kind of thing where kids start to have emotions and feelings. As you see, there was 38 suicide screeners done at the middle school last year alone. And that's not a representation of 38 individuals. That's 38 screeners. So some of these were 2 or 3, kind of the more red zone kids, the high risk kids. So but it's one of those things where we need to start building those regulation skills in elementary school, and so when things get hard and life gets crazy, they know how to seek out support and find it before they get to a part where they're desperate for a way to stop that feeling of hopelessness. And so it's great for our middle school counselors did a great job supporting kids last year. Let us know as high school counselors, the kids that were 8th graders that were coming up to us, who we needed to kind of check in on and continue to take care of. In the middle school, there was 686 individual requests for student meetings, and then 39 teacher referrals. And so, as we get towards future plans as a counseling department, Darren's going to talk about it a little bit later. But we're looking to start really tracking some key indicators and get on the same page where elementary school, middle school, since we finally have a full counseling staff, minus we're one person at the middle school at this point, but we want to get on the same page where we're all looking at the same data and starting to track that K-12. And so we're doing some work. Darren will talk. I'm stealing Darren's thunder. Sorry. At the high school, it's really about balancing the mental health needs and also getting kids ready for the future. And some of that's hand in hand, and some of that's, we'll talk to a kid that's in crisis one minute, and we'll talk to a kid about what college they're applying to the next, and somewhere in between the third kid that you see in a day. And so for mental health or personal issues, we talked to 1,400 students. Emotions start to regulate a little bit more in high school. So out of all the high school, we only did 21 suicide screeners last year, which is still higher than we'd hope, but it's lower than the middle school. And I think some of that's just because the maturity and the emotions start to regulate and kids start to understand this will pass and I can get through it. And I got through it before and I can get through it again when they're having a hard time. But like I said, still more than we'd prefer, of course. So, and then future readiness between the pathway conversations and conversations that kids initiated on their own. We had 1,748 meetings last year talking about kids' future and what they want to do for the rest of their life. And so along with that, we did 12 parent nights talking about FAFSA, scholarship night, OSAC night, in both English and Spanish. I'm missing a bunch of nights, but a lot of nights we do to try to support our community and get them what they need to know about how to prepare themselves for high school, but also for their future. And so we really try to get the information in the kids' hands so they can help make good decisions for themselves. All right. And then one of the things we worked on this year as a counseling department with help from the district office is finding some key things we want to focus on as a counseling staff K-12 to really help build a toolbox of future ready skills. And so of those things, we just saw that, there's parking lot bullying issues still going on at the high school that we need to talk about. And so talking about respect, talking about conflict management, helping kids realize that how their behavior impacts other people. And so respect, resilience, integrity, conflict management, emotional regulation, teamwork and collaboration, and then future planning. And so as we have kids exit Crook County School District, we want kids to be able to walk into any job and collaborate with others, have a plan for their future, emotionally regulate when they have something happens at work they don't like. They know how to regulate their emotions. They know how to move forward with in a professional manner, and manage conflict and that kind of thing. And so that's what we want to focus on going forward next year as a counseling team, K-12 for future ready skills.
And then this is the last slide we have, is this about moving from reaction to prevention. So, instead of having a kid coming in crisis, we want to look towards like, how do we teach the kids skills and then align them with support before it turns into crisis. And so that's part of what Sean's talking about, the mission that we're trying to push for. And so collecting data and allowing data to drive where we give students support. What is the data telling us as far as like attendance and referrals, the grades? That's going to help drive the decisions we make as a counseling department. And then aligning that not just at the high school, but kindergarten all the way through middle school and high school. So we're looking at similar data to help us make those counseling decisions. And then using the ASCA model to strengthen our alignment, continuously coordinate the support, and then identifying and addressing student needs early to reduce crisis and create a more supportive school environment. And then moving towards prevention. So prevention means identifying and addressing student needs early to reduce crisis and create a more supportive school environment. And so the arrow there at the bottom talks about our strategic goals this year. And so we've got some really cool things in place. We have counselors meet every month, K-12, to talk about where we are and where we're headed. And then we have an district advisory board that we have counselors from each elementary, middle, and high. We meet with Joel and Bree monthly to look at the overall bigger picture, and then how that's trying to align to best support our students. And so really excited about the work we're doing, excited about the work that we're going to get to implement moving forward the rest of this year and then into the next year. So now we have a slideshow for you guys.
And I'm currently working at Crook Elementary, government official. I love being a school counselor because I get to be there to support students as they navigate all kinds of challenges in their lives and realize their own strengths. Hi, I'm Whitney Carmack. I'm the school counselor at Steensville Elementary in Grizzly Mountain Home Lake Elementary School. This is my first year as a school counselor, and I love this role because I get to help students be supported holistically, and provide a safe space for them to process feelings and regulate to be successful in the classroom.
Hi, I'm Rachel Farger, and I am the high school counselor at Pioneer Alternative High School, and I love serving a completely different demographic of students. And I'm also the secondary counselor at GMH, and it really gives me an eye into a unique group of students. I hope to do this for lots of years to come, and I'm more than grateful to be able to serve them in really specific ways.
I enjoy being a school counselor because I get to help students work through life's challenges to perform academically and create plans for their future that they never thought were possible. I enjoy the fact that school counselors help students break down barriers to future success through financial aid planning, through working through challenges they have maybe with mental health issues in order to perform academically and create a future for themselves that meets their goals.
Hey everybody, my name is Joshua Schroeder and I am the school counselor at Crooked River Elementary. This is my 4th year at Crooked River and my 4th year in Crook County School District as a whole. I absolutely love my job. I love showing up to work every day and having the opportunity to support students, support families, support teachers, and overall be a positive connection point within our community for resources and other opportunities. Partially because I believe that while academics are a very important part of education, it's also important that our students are learning other life skills that are going to serve them beyond their academics. So conflict resolution, resilience, community, building positive relationship skills, and so many other things that are going to help them be successful in life and whatever they end up pursuing. So I am honored and grateful to be able to serve with you each and every day, and I look forward to many years to come. Thanks so much.
Hi, My name is Ashley Sakagi and I'm a school counselor here at Crook County Middle School. And I am here today to talk about two things, why I love being a school counselor and what it means to be a school counselor to me. What I love about being a school counselor is that I get to be a safe person for students. So no matter what kind of day they're having, they know they always have someone they can come talk to. Every day this role is different. Some days I'm supporting students with big emotions, with family changes going on at home, or with friendship conflicts that they're having here at school. Other days I get to celebrate them. I get to celebrate their growth. I get to celebrate their confidence, and I get to watch them realize that they're capable of doing more than they thought. School counseling is not just about academics, but about supporting students as a whole. So making sure students feel seen, supported, and safe, because those are things that help make everything seem a little more possible. My role as a school counselor is to show up consistently, to listen without judgment, and to make sure students know that they matter. I really love being a school counselor here at Crook County Middle School, and I'm super thankful that I get to work alongside students and be part of their journey during an important time of their life. Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Brittany Hutton, and I am a counselor at Crook County High School. I'm in my 5th year here, and I am also the McKinney-Vento Homeless Liaison for Crook County School District. A few things that I really love about being a counselor are that we get to wear many hats. So no 2 days are ever the same. So we can be dealing with mental health crisis or doing academic planning with students. We can be collaborating with our admin team and our teachers to create a master schedule that serves all students. We get to be advocates for students, so making sure that every student has the academic experience that they desire and is put on the path for their future that they choose. And the true honor of this job is to walk alongside them where they're at. Everybody needs a different level of support, and so meeting kids where they're at and helping them to be connected to resources and break down barriers so that they're prepared when they leave high school is probably the greatest joy of my job. That I get to watch them become young adults who are prepared to take on the world, and it's a great privilege that I don't take for granted. So thank you to the families of Crook County for letting me serve your students.
Hello, everyone. My name is Darren Cassie. I'm a counselor here at Crook County High School. And this is my 17th year at CCHS. It's my 27th year in the district and 31st overall. And it's actually gone quite fast. And I think that has a lot to do with just this job. I think this job brings a lot of joy to me, fills my heart. To just watch so many students just go about becoming who they are and navigating that. I love supporting our students through that journey and watching them grow in their confidence, watching them grow in their character, watching them grow in them as the first person who is kind and supportive and has goals and ambitions. And I think a lot of that is attributed to just first their character and their desire to want to do well and do good things. And then our parents, I think our parents do a really good job of supporting their kids, and that makes our job better to work with when we have parents who are working hard to support their kids. And we feel that and we see that in our kids, in our school community. And then our staff here is just a great group, from our admin to our teachers, our instructional assistants, to our cafeteria staff, to our custodial staff, our coaches. There's just so many people that really make CCHS a wonderful place. My counseling team here at the high school is wonderful. I'm excited to come to work every day and work with them and do great things for kids. And then our extended counseling team in the district, it's really exciting to see the things we're doing as a district when it comes to counseling, looking at ways to navigate barriers or challenges that our students and families are facing, and figuring out how to either go over those challenges, around those challenges, through them, whatever it takes. And I think that's one thing that I love about the counselors in our district is that we really want to work hard, find ways to support our kids and our families and our teachers and our staff. That's just one thing I love about what we do as a district. And we're excited to share more things with you tonight about what we're doing in counseling. Appreciate you and thank you for letting us work with your kids, and me personally work with your kids every day.
One thing we forgot to mention before the presentation started was last week was actually National School Counselor Appreciation. So let's give all our counselors a big round. Questions from the board for our counseling team?
Just a comment from me, I can't tell you how much you appreciate the job you do. I know it can be extremely uplifting and there can be some really down times when you hear a student talk about difficulties at home. So I just want to tell you, I really appreciate what you do.
Thank you.
And I'm glad we have a full complement now of counselors throughout the district.
I second that.
In your presentation, I heard 3 of my 4 favorite words, which were integration, alignment, and data.
Okay.
What I didn't hear was my 4th one, which is timeline. Can you tell me a little bit more about these 3 things you're gonna do and how are those mapped out on a timeline? Do you have a point when you get to your first spot?
Yeah, you don't.
I'll take it. All right, so we're actually working with High Desert ESD right now. There was some grant money that came in, Jim Bowen from High Desert ESD, and I feel really horrible. Her name's Kelsey as well, but I don't know her last name from Sisters, one of the Sisters Elementary Schools that's working with Jim to gather us all together and come up with like a 3-year plan, like a 3-year scope and sequence of like what goals we want to accomplish in the next 3 years and where we want to go as a team. And there's been some stuff talked about ramp certification, and that's a big fancy term in the school counselor world for you have your ducks in a line when it comes to the American School Counseling Association, what they expect to see out of a school counseling program. We're on the baby steps of looking at that right now, but I think that might be something we do down the line. But we really want to come up with a really strategic plan over the next 3 years to make sure we're implementing things well and with fidelity and doing it in a way like, we had Character Strong in the district a bunch of years ago, and it worked really well for some teachers and didn't work really well for other teachers. And in a couple of years, everyone's like, yeah, we're kind of over this. And so we don't want to false start and do that way again. We want to come up with a really strategic way to implement those future ready skills we talked about, those, the resiliency and the integrity and career planning and emotional regulation respect. Like we want to come up with a plan that's going to implement those things K-12 with fidelity. And we're looking to do that part. We're looking to do next year. And then the data piece, we're going to start tracking data together next year. And so if we come back next year at this time, we'll have, some data points and some more things to share with you. But I think to get where we want to be, it's probably a 3-year timeline. But in the short term, getting us all aligned with, monthly lessons at least once a month regarding one of these social, these future ready skills, I think is where we're starting, and then building from there. It's a little easier sometimes for classroom lessons and that kind of thing in elementary because they could walk into, a 3rd grade classroom and they're with whereas as a counselor, if we want to talk to all the, high school counselor, if we want to talk to all the sophomores, well, some sophomores are in English and some sophomores in high school, in math or, so it makes it a little more difficult when it comes to stuff like that, but we're definitely planning on implementing that next year. For sure. Do you have anything you want to add?
No, and I think one thing to note too is like these future ready skills are like, they're tailored for Crook County for us. What our values are within our greater community and our school. And so that's something that we're very sensitive about, and that we want to make it applicable to our roots, our values as a district and as a community. And so I think that one of the things that we've met once with Jim Bowen and Kelsey from the High Desert ESD. And so we're not trying to take such a giant thing and like try to drink from a fire hose. We're trying to like, how do we implement something that's doable, starting out manageable, and then something that we can continue. That way, if like in some cases where someone moves from a school, it's a plug-in, we can do it. It doesn't have to start over because someone moves on to something else. It's there for it's district wide, and that's part of that greater alignment as a district. It's what we do regardless of who's there. We can plug that person in, and this is what we just do as a district counseling team.
It's a program, not a person.
Yeah.
So this seems to be like really, really important work. Really systems work that will change kids' lives when you get there. Is this embedded in one of our committees? Is there a committee that's regularly checking in on this?
It's, we have 2 monthly meetings. I want to say that counselors meet monthly, and then Bree and I meet with the counselor leadership team monthly. It doesn't exist in like a board committee. It's more of the district process with a monthly check.
Wondering if it belongs to the student services committee.
We certainly can.
Because it's such a vital support in everything else we do.
For sure.
We ought to not just have it one and done tonight.
Yeah.
It seems to me like.
Yeah. And we can bring them back. We were supposed to meet in December, but we wanted to hold off till council appreciation. But we can do another check-in in the spring and make sure the board's regularly updated on the progress.
Sure. For sure.
Because we've been able to secure some funding through the ESD, had a grant to kind of do this work, but yeah, we'll keep it rolling. Maybe do an update through the committee work as well.
Yep.
Yeah, maybe in the spring we could create some boards of goals based on that initial work.
Yeah.
I've got 2 things for you guys. We've had this big, feels like a culture push, trying to get kids anti-bullying, a sense of community. Do you guys feel like you have an input in those campaigns, so to speak, like the CC way and that kind of stuff? And secondly, how effective, just in your opinion, do you guys feel like it has been? That was a big question, so.
I feel like we have a strong voice within our building leadership, at least at the high school for sure. Like, and then I think with Joel and Bree, I know that they hold what we say very highly. And so I think with us having the CCSD greater counseling committee, I feel like we're kind of tackling some of those and addressing some of those questions there. But as far as support, I feel like we have a lot of district support, and I feel like that we have board support. Just the implementation of these future ready skills too there's definitely an awareness that this needs to happen. And I think it's the right time. Our kids and our families are gonna respond and appreciate that we're looking at these things too, because kids can't just be ready academically, right? For what's gonna happen after life. They need to know how to like do that with the skills that they need, but most of us are probably successful out in our work. And so it requires a lot of things beyond just your book knowledge. So I think these are things that are going to address that for our students and get them more ready for, I guess, the real meaningful things that help us be quality humans.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys have anything you want to add?
I mean, I think I can echo that for the elementary level, that we feel very like we can collaborate with leadership to help roll out whatever we feel will be beneficial for students. That might look like having going in and teaching things like Kelso's choices in the classroom that gives students the same language to use for their emotions or for how to solve conflicts, things like that we're using amongst the elementary schools. It's really great that we meet all together as a team with the different levels, trying to make sure that we are aware of what the language is that we're using, so we can keep that consistent amongst the elementary, middle, and high school levels.
And your second question, Eric, the effectiveness, I mean, at the high school, it's I mean, it might be more, I mean, it's too bad the middle school person's not here, but at the high school, I think there's places where it's effective and there's places where it hasn't been. I think, campaigns work, getting the word out there, Cowboy Way, like all those things work, but from a research perspective, like some of those PBIS models, like they don't catch every kid, right? And so there's still instances where it's happening. And people bully people to fill a need, fulfill a need they have. And so trying to build these skills, trying to build relationships with kids, trying to get kids to build relationships with each others and have conversation with each other, creates an environment where people feel safe and seen, right? And the other thing is making those community connections and like having, it's like there's tons of times where, parents will come in and meet with me and it's like, my kid's been being bullied for, 2 weeks. Like, well, if they told you 2 weeks ago, why don't I know? Like, tell me, like, let me know, let me help address it, or like the kid, like, it's like, I'll talk to a kid like 15 times and then the 16th time they say they're being bullied, they don't come talk to me. It's like, well, like we have a relationship. Let's deal with the, if there's an issue, if there's something making you feel unsafe, let's talk, let's collaborate, let's get together with parents and, and the kid and figure out a solution. And so just continuing to build those connections and letting people, like both kids and parents, know that like pick up the phone, let us know, like call us, we'll answer, like we care about that stuff. And so it just continuing to make those connections and helping kids make connections with each other. You know, like it's harder to bully someone you have a relationship with. And so, or if you're feeling safe and seen at school, it's harder to decide that you're going to go treat someone poorly because you feel like your needs are being met. So good. So I think there's still work to do, in other words, but I think we're on the right track, but yeah, we still have further.
Do you have anything else for? No?
Great work, good
Yeah.
report, thank you.
Thank you very much. Love this.
It's just, I would just comment. You know, we've been talking about the need for more mental health services, more counselors, all that for years. I guess I hadn't realized just how big it has grown. And I really congratulate you for putting your shoulder to the grindstone and making that, which the community was very clear they wanted.
Yeah.
Across multiple planning periods, make it actually happen. You've got the basis of a comprehensive system at this point. We've never seen anything like that in this district.
Well, kids need it,
Build
so.
on it.
So
Yeah.
good job.
Big credit to these people at the table. Let's give a round of applause.
7.2, social studies curriculum adoption.
One slide presentation with a potential board action. So ODE, whenever we want to postpone a curriculum adoption. For context, every 7 years, we adopt a new social studies curriculum. It's on a 7-year cycle. We are asking for 1 year postponement for adopting a 1 year. And the reason we're asking, we want additional time for thorough staff vetting and community review. This one's important. We want to make sure that every community member has a chance to look at what curriculums we're looking at. So this would give us additional time. Our current staff are reporting satisfaction with the current curriculum. So this is not just urgency, like, hey, we need new curriculum. We don't want to rush into any decision-making around social studies curriculum. So this additional year will give us provide a more well-informed adoption process. We want to make sure our teachers have adequate time not to rush in, but they can adequately vet the curriculum, as well as we've had a new board with goals and alignment. We talked about alignment systems. This additional year would allow us more time. The ODE requires that we have some board action to allow us to postpone the adoption. So there's a potential motion on your cover sheet. Any questions?
Is the current curriculum the one that's working on the list of curriculum you can continue to consider?
You know, one thing that's happened over the course of the 7 years is our teachers put their own spin on the curriculum to kind of meet the local needs. So I believe it is, but we also have a highly customized curriculum because our teachers, I always think of Mr. Rosh at the high school where he brings in his own trips that he's taken to the various places. So we will look, I know that our teachers are satisfied with the current curriculum. So we'll look to see if there's just an updated version for that.
So I'm wondering if, well, we might move forward tonight just to check this box and adopt the curriculum. But if it's working, given the fact that some of the other curriculum choices would be interesting, maybe in that year, you could bring back to us a recommendation to just continue. I would like this not to be a hard stop on adoption. I'd just like to be a pause.
Yeah.
While you think about it.
Saying if it's not broke, don't fix it.
Exactly.
Yes.
There's a lot of room for breakage in the
Yes.
adoption of this curriculum,
Definitely.
given the state standards.
And this process of this postponement, if the board makes that action, it would allow us that time to put that all together. So
I think that might be the prettier way to do this.
any other questions?
Pretty good way.
Yeah, well, there's some prettiness in this mess.
I'm gonna quote that, so Scott Cooper.
I can't find that recommended motion.
I'll make a motion to postpone the social studies curriculum adoption until the 2026-2027 school year.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second on the table to postpone the social studies curriculum adoption until the 2026-27 school year. Do we have further discussion? Okay, let's go ahead and vote. Kevin,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
Kelsey,
Yes.
and I vote yes as well. Thank you all. Oops, I marked that wrong one. 7.3, Hellview Community Charter School, update. Ms. Anna Logan.
Yes, this is an update on reintegrating the Palview School back into the district. I just want to give you kind of a little bit of history on how we've come in the last month. We're treating this as a project and we've assembled a project team. We held a kickoff meeting with 15 people on the team. We identified the roles of each person on the team and we discussed a timeline for how we're gonna roll this all out. Our expectation is that we open school in fall of 2026 with the students not really knowing that anything has changed as much as possible. We talked about a communication plan for both internal and external stakeholders. And then we shared a task list that right now has 143 items on it with the responsible person, the due date, and then any dependencies between those task items. The name of the school impacts some of those upcoming tasks. So that will be the next agenda topic, is getting that name going. And then as we continue through this process, some additional topics we will be bringing to the school board are assuming we get a agreement, which I believe we have with both of our labor associations, to have an MOU to allow the Palview employees to continue in their current job without having to reapply and interview for their current positions. And then the second thing is that we will be requesting a policy exception to allow those employees to roll their sick leave balances in. Because if an employee from another school district comes to work here, they get to roll their sick leave balances from their prior district, but that law doesn't cover the charter schools. So we're gonna ask the board for an exception to allow the Palview employees to roll their sick leave balances in. And then the third thing is there will be some type of an action, I believe, because the Palview Charter School has a lease on modular buildings, one modular building, that that building will need to continue to be used. So we're looking at options for how that will work. So that's just the update. Any questions on that?
It sounds like your overriding objective is to make sure there's no harm to anybody who's involved with the system right now. That's commendable.
There will be some things that are unavoidable, but whatever we can do that makes sense and doesn't cause long-term harm, we're trying to make work.
Yeah, no, I was at the meeting earlier this last week, but I would just chime in that I sense the most maybe angst or stress around just having the sick leave rollover kind of be up in the air too. So I just want us to be cognizant of that.
I expect to bring that to the school board in March, so it shouldn't be too much longer that's and I don't want to assume what the board will decide on that. At least I mean,
Anything else, team? Okay, thank you, Anna. Thank you. Okay, 7.4.
She needs a motion to do this, right?
She got to present it first.
no, it's this one.
That was in the-
7.3 is the.
Okay, I was like, wait, we're not there yet. Okay.
7.4, I definitely need a motion. Thank you.
Let's get it done.
Yes, please make sure you have the updated version of the cover sheet for this topic. And the handout on this is just the policy FF. So policy requires board approval of a school name, that school's mascot and that school's colors. And then we also need to have the school name approved by the board for ODE purposes. So we can set up our student information system and then, like I mentioned before, to complete many of the upcoming tasks that are dependent on this name of the school. ODE will need action from from the board to change the school type from charter type to regular instruction type. And then, the Powell Butte Community Charter School has respectfully proposed the name, the school colors, and the mascot, which the superintendent has reviewed and has no hesitation or concerns. Therefore, we are recommending the name of Powell Butte Community School, a mascot of hawks, the colors navy blue and tan, with a school type of regular instruction.
I'm sure I moved to rename the Powell Butte School as Powell Butte Community School with a mascot of hawk. School colors of navy tan and blue and navy blue and tan, and to change the school type from charter to regular instruction effective July 1, 2026.
Seconded. Third.
So we have a motion and a second and third to move to rename the Powell Butte School as Powell Butte Community School with the mascot of the Hawks, school colors of navy blue and tan, and to change the school type from charter to regular instruction effective July 1st, 2026. Do we have further discussion? I am assuming a very big assumption here that the Powell Butte team is all on board with all of this, right?
Yes,
This
they had
was-
input.
Okay,
That was our condition. They had to be unanimous.
I wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
Like to have these things very clear. That way there's no discussion. Okay. Do we have any further discussion? Okay, let's vote. Kelsey,
Yes.
Aaron,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Kevin,
Yes.
and a yes from me, Scott. Thank you very much for all of your guys' hard work on that. Appreciate that very, very much. Okay, 7.5, secondary math sequence update from Christy Brewster and then the admin team. Welcome, team.
Thanks for having us forward. Marcus Hayes, CCMS principal here, and
Kersey Booster, high school math teacher. I'm also the benchmark coordinator for the math department.
all right, so we're here to talk about course sequence optioning from 6th through 12th grade, kind of where students start and then where they would potentially end up at the end of their high school career. So we're here to kind of provide that overview of 612 and then also how these sequences are structured to accommodate the diverse needs of every student with the board goal of 1.9 of increased advanced learning opportunities for K-12 students. And so we've done a lot of work with this starting the last school year, kind of before school started. Joel and I met, had a lot of conversations, looked at a lot of the data. And so with the sequences in front of us, the top row is 6th grade math, 7th grade math, and 8th grade math. It's just the general grade level course content that students have through their 6th through 8th grade. And we have, you can see the percentages there on the left hand column of 69% for that standard sequence. Our sequence 1 of advanced options is 6th grade advanced math, 7th advanced math, and then in 8th grade, they'll take algebra with the high school credit option. We have 27% of our CCMS students in that track. And then our advanced sequence 2 is based off of data that we get from the elementary schools. Joel and I have done a lot of work with getting more information from the elementary schools in terms of teacher recommendations, placement options, and their OSAS data and now we also have, now that elementary is doing iReady, we have another data point that we can reference and check as well. And so students will then skip 6th grade advanced math and move into 7th grade advanced math, go into algebra as 7th graders. And then starting next year, we are going to be having a geometry option at CCMS from a teacher who's highly certified to teach that. We're really excited about that option. And we have almost 4% of our CCMS students in that track.
Could you talk about, this makes me really excited, like the work that you and the team have done where you've just seen such a significant increase in the amount of students who are stepping up to some of these advanced options and why that's happened and why it's being successful?
Why it's happened, I think a big piece is the students' initial skill level. And a big piece is the drive, because as you can see, for students to go into that second advanced option sequence. They're actually skipping a sixth grade math class. And so that's where all the students that have been bumped into that, I have made calls in the summer, checking to see if that's a track that not only the student, but the parents and teacher recommendations of all that align for that student to get into that third option. It's a huge jump. And we had a lot of reservation from teachers, just worried about kids skipping that and missing that content. And we have then kind of steered them in directions to get some extra supports kind of through summer as they go into that. And we've seen a lot of success, I think a lot more than we initially thought, just by skipping that level. And it's been an awesome option for our kids, for our families, and our teachers have been super excited about kids stepping up to that challenge.
Cause you've seen it too, a growth in that sequence, advanced option sequence 1 as well.
Yes, yes. The last couple of years, we've eventually had to add a third section in 8th grade to accommodate that. So we've had to add that section. And so, and in terms of like that second bullet point on the last slide, we've had to, we still take recommendations from teachers all through middle school as to if they want to bump up. And Joel and I had a bunch of conversations about pushing kids. And if they then get to that point and they're not as successful as they had hoped, or are lagging in some of those skills that they may have missed in the previous math section, that we bumped a couple down as well per parent and student and teacher suggestions. So we're open for that flexibility, with the idea of trying to push more kids to push themselves and give them that opportunity.
So just to chime in on some numbers, because this is huge. So the most students previously, the last 20 years in Crook County School District, we ever had on that advanced option sequence number 2 was 2 at a time. This year we have 14. So I think that's a 700% increase in the students on that advanced track. And I think it was 13 out of 14 wanted to continue with it. So, and a big part of this is it provides those students on that track with a cohort to work with. When you're just by yourself, kind of blazing a trail, it's a lot harder than when you have 13 peers to call to study with and whatnot. So it's been a huge success story, and a lot of shout outs to Mr. Hayes in the math department.
I want to call it special to specifically to 7th and 8th grade math teachers, Fisher and Whitey.
Yeah.
Because to bridge that gap, when these kids had to skip a year, my daughter's in the program as well, so is yours, but I know a few other kids that were asked to step up and do it as well, but it was so daunting that a few of them backed down. My daughter personally was scared to do it. It took a little bit of encouragement, but specifically Mr. Fisher was incredible. Like she struggled. Yes, I know she's back there. She struggled, and the way that these teachers have been able to bridge that gap with having a whole year of math that they're teaching on the side and keeping those kids together has just been amazing.
And I would add to that, because even you get pushed, and I will say I've had multiple conversations after we pushed kids up that this is the first time in their lives that school was hard for some of these kids, that math class was hard for some of these kids, and they were like, whoa, this is too hard. I want to step back. And in some conversations with the kids and the parents, we kept bringing them along, and eventually they're starting to get that success and understanding that school is supposed to be hard as well when you're advanced in these math tracks, that's okay. And those have been some good conversations as well.
Marcus, I'm assuming you're getting kids coming in too that are below grade level in what is the
and hard right turn, yes. Yes.
No one coming on.
Yes, and we have done a lot of work with also tiering some groups on the other end of the spectrum. And I am doing a ton of work right now, working with our elementary schools, our sped departments from the elementary schools, trying to find the right tracks and placements to meet those kids' needs as well. And getting them to that point to where not only pushing kids to be successful when it's really difficult on the high end, but also on that other end of the spectrum, creating opportunities for those kids to have some success. And that is definitely something I'm really passionate about right now with trying to meet the needs of the kids on that other end of the spectrum as well.
I do want to jump into something you just said.
Okay.
Point out that not every special needs kid is math deficient.
Nope.
Some of our special needs kids are our highest math.
Mhm. Yep.
I
Yep.
think too, I don't know how you feel about this, Marcus, but like anecdotally, just because I have a kiddo at the middle school, like I'm such a big fan of cult time. Like anytime things start to go a little bit sideways, it's like you go to cult time and figure it out. And it's like, I think in that struggle, like just having that place to like double down and to normalize, like you said, like you didn't do this well and no big deal. Like, we'll fix it. Like
Cold time has been a huge tool. It has came with a lot of hiccups and road bumps because there's so many moving parts to create that program and to create that scheduling. A lot of hiccups, but in the end, we hear so much good feedback from kids, from families and teachers when it's utilized and people are taking advantage of it. It's been an awesome tool.
Second that, because I've heard amazing things about it as well. And to Kevin's point, they've got students doing full time, helping to tutor other students.
That's probably my favorite part.
Incredible as well.
Yeah.
Our sixth grade teachers absolutely love getting some of these, not yet geometry, but algebra and advanced seventh grade students going down to help sixth grade students has been an awesome, fun tool to see. All right. Head into the eighth grade section.
So these are just same level. So first line that you're looking at is the standard sequence for high schoolers. So coming in as a freshman, they would take Algebra 1, sophomore year, geometry, and then their junior year, we have these two options listed, technical math or Algebra 2. And so teachers meet with the students, counselors meet with the students, we help guide them in that choice. And Algebra 2 is generally for that college track student. Technical math it can still be for students who are wanting to do the college track, but it's mostly for those students who are thinking about just going straight into a career after they get their high school diploma. And the numbers next to them are the number of students that are taking those classes this year. And then those arrows are because we're trying to push students to still take math after their junior year, even though it's not required. So after their junior year, they have the option, if they took Algebra 2, they can go on to Math 111, 112, which we also refer to as pre-calculus, or they have the AP Stats option as well. If they come in advanced level, advanced freshmen will come in honors geometry, then take Algebra 2 that sophomore year, and then they will do pre-calc or Math 111, 112, and then the hope is that they continue to AP Calculus, so we really push them there. And AP Stats is listed because we really push those kiddos to try to double up if they can fit it in with their schedule, but it's not required for them. And then the last one is going to be new for next year now that we have these students who are taking geometry as eighth graders. So I'm excited to see how this track goes. So they'll come in as freshmen in Algebra 2, their sophomore year take pre-calculus or Math 111, 112, and then their junior year take AP Calculus. And then their senior year, we still have this AP offering AP Stats.
Are these 3 trimester classes or 2 trimester?
They're 2.
And when you refer to calculus, is that AB or BC?
AB.
Do we offer BC?
We do not.
Why?
I believe it doesn't fit in with the schedule. I don't know all the details with that. I've never taught AP Calculus, but I believe it's because AB it's a full year that we have to offer, so we can only offer those 2 trimesters of it. we've had some students who were advanced in, if they, so Michelle Hackala teaches it and she's recommend, like, if these students can and fit in BC, there's some, we could figure out a plan for them to either take it through the college, but not through our high school.
But we are offering it. I mean, through the college. But why wouldn't we show that as part of the track? I mean, see it to be it, right?
Do you, well, I'm not sure what you mean by it. Because we only offer the AB.
Still an
But it
option
is
for our
it's an
students.
important option for students who are looking at going to elite universities to walk in with BC on their high school resume. It's very important to the competitiveness of their application. So if we have it available through COTC or however.
Well, we don't, but we aren't able to teach it, is the thing, like our high school teachers.
But you can facilitate.
Yeah.
If they could fit it in with their schedule, yeah.
So to me, it's a part of what we offer to students, and to be a competitive offensive high school, we ought to have that.
Mhm. Yeah, so in the past, we've had like maybe one or two students who could be able to do that. So we have had those conversations with those students and have figured out ways for them to pursue that. But now with this third option, that's definitely up for discussion, is what can we do with those kids if they don't want to take AP stats and they want to continue with AP Calc. That's definitely a conversation.
Because it's an AP stats versus BC Calc.
Mhm.
I just think we ought to display it, and put it in the catalog. Because it's that important.
Yeah, one of the things that I'd love to hear you guys talk about, because I think it's such a big win for the high school, is just the increase that you guys have seen in kids who are like starting for that algebra 2, and how those numbers have changed. Can you guys speak to that?
I'm sorry.
Like moving forward or at this current point?
The current, because we're looking at the data, right? And it's like right now the like breakdown of those who will at least achieve algebra 2 is like what, roughly 90-something% versus business math, and historically it was like 50-50. So I'd love to just hear where like that's great news from my perspective, and like what has changed to make that possible, and how do we protect that goodness? Because I think, you know, you mentioned this, the business math is more for somebody who's going into a career, but it also, from what I understand, and I'm not an educator, that even for a lot of trade schools, that at least algebra 2 makes them a much more competitive candidate. And that if later in life they want to go back and pursue higher education, having the algebra 2 can really make a difference. And so when we talk about kind of these board goals and making sure that people are ready for readiness, I think that's a huge win that the team has had, and I think we should talk about it and just talk about how we can continue to grow it and do whatever we did that worked. I want to know, and so we can continue to do that.
I think the biggest thing is the math department and the counselors and even admin have been talking a lot more and communicating a lot better, and there's a much more thoughtful conversations being had, especially with the students, like, what do you want to pursue? And so there's a better understanding of what route they should take mathematically, and even if they don't know for sure, algebra 2 is a really great option that we can push them to, because if they don't know for sure if they want to go to college or trade school or just go straight to work, it could still be a great more kind of advanced math class for them to go with. And even if they take the technical math route, they change their mind or something, they could still pursue algebra 2 their senior year as well. But I do think that communication has been so much better, and that's made our algebra 2 numbers definitely jump up, and that's been really nice.
I love everything about program and getting different paths. One concern I might have is the reliance on a thin group of teachers. So I mean, I just got done praising 2 of them, which is great. But are we building redundancy with teacher training in case someone needs to step up and take the place of one of those amazing teachers? Is there cross training that's happening and planning for multiple teachers covering that? That's a concern I might have.
I will say, like, Miss Whiting is one of our teachers who's going to be teaching the geometry next year. She's really excited about that. She is highly qualified, which you don't generally see that in middle school teachers, and so that's something she's really excited about. She's going to be doing some learning walks with the high school to align. And then in terms of the other algebra classes, both of our teachers, eighth grade teachers, teach algebra, and so in terms of the middle school certification, that allows that piece to get up to algebra. And so that's where, other than Miss Whiting's current state of where she's at, that would be the one tweak that we'd have to potentially dive into if we get to that point.
Well, this is the most alignment I've ever seen with the middle school and high schools now program. So yay, you positions. That's really fun. And it was notable the last couple times I've been out in the schools, the number of students who told me that math was their favorite subject. And that's just popping up in every elementary I went to, in the middle school. I just heard that everywhere, even a little bit in high school. The last flag salute, we asked the kids, not this one, but the one before, we asked the kids what their favorite topic, both of them said math. So we got alignment, we've got challenging curriculum, we got good teachers, we have kids that like the subject. How come our scores are barely over the state average? What are we missing? I mean, I am honestly out of ideas for what else we could do, but somehow, if you do everything right, you should be showing up. Where's the missing piece? That's the $1 million question. I know.
Yeah, sure.
I would say it is a big missing piece, and it is a difficult piece. I think a big piece that Mr. Bradley brings up is bringing in those students that are the yellow zone students and getting them that extra supports. Hopefully Colt time is a tool for that. So I think getting some of the students that are in algebra, geometry, middle school, those aren't the ones that are adjusting our scores below the state average. They're scoring very high, and Dr. Hoff, like top 10% is where a lot of those students are falling. But I think bringing in that extra attention to the yellow zone students is a big piece to get those students from that yellow to the green zone, where then they count on the better half of the OSAS scores.
I think too, one of the things, because I feel like I'm learning statistics all over again, maybe for the first time, but you know, I would love to see, I know that the state testing is problematic for reasons I a little bit understand, but don't, but I think there's probably some other key indicators, especially at the high school level, like we talked about like SAT scores, AP passing rate, the ASVAB, and so like, what are some other like just neutral or like kind of outside of Crook County, like indicators that we could start to use to do this diagnostic? Because there's so much goodness, and it's like, but how do we measure that, right? It's like, I want to measure like how many kiddos are like going to algebra 2 and passing, because I want to measure like all, hey, how effective is the rigor of these process? And maybe it's great, like, and I hope and I think it probably is, but how do we know, just so that we're all just reading from the same song sheet and we can continue? And I don't even say that from a heart of like trying to find a problem. It's more like, hey, if there's a resource gap, and I think, what's it, Eric, like you just brought up, like, we have enough math teachers, like, are we giving you guys the right resources? The accountability goes both ways. We need to talk about that, and I think having some good diagnostics around that is so great. And I think the other good news that we haven't even really talked about is the fact that one of the reasons that I understand, please correct me if I'm wrong, that 90% of the kiddos are doing algebra 2 is because they forecasted it. Yeah, 90% of our kids raising their hand and saying, I want to do this. Like, that's like the best news of the night to me. Like, I mean, we should be jumping up and down that, and they're passing it at a really high rate. So, I mean. There's a lot of goodness there, it's just, I think we need to have some other ways to test some of these things that we can all agree on as an accurate. Like way to just understand where we are, and again, the heart is not to like attack or to inspect, it's more like, hey, are we just making sure that the kids and the teachers are getting what they need?
It seems to me like a useful exercise, Dr. Hoff, might be you or almost Dr. Van Noble to call, to identify and put in the next board note, the top 5 schools in the state, middle school and the high school, that are performing at math. What are the highest grades? I don't even know where the ceiling is. And then to systematically call those 5 and say, exactly what are you doing?
Yeah. If you remember, you're the same idea years ago.
I had many times, best idea.
You know, and it's, hey, why don't we check with who's getting
Keep
this?
saying this, but.
The most recent one we did, I want to say last year, was we reached out to the highest performing English language arts district, and that was Riverdale, which is right outside, it's kind of the
odd little school.
Yeah, Lake Oswego, it's right where Lewis and Clark College is. So, we did a deep dive with them on their, it was their English curriculum at the time. We can do that same, I believe the highest we've seen in the state is 60-70% passing rate on the OSAS for math. So again, I think it speaks to a lot of this conversation of what is the right assessment and what are and we don't want to base any of our decisions on just one assessment, right? We want multiple measures. How many kids are taking the class? How many kids are passing? What's our SAT rates? What are our AP passing rates? What about the ACT? They used to have a plan and explore. So again, I think we want to get what I hear the board saying is, let's get a comprehensive a number of different data points we're measuring to see, really assess how we're doing, because some of our indicators look amazing at this point. 90% of students taking Algebra 2 is a home run, like you were saying. So, and then how do we double down on what's working? So we'll add this to something to follow back on, as well as look at what other districts are doing.
I want to piggyback on Scott there because I think we might be looking at the wrong area. We're looking at thriving high schools. And we're not taking into account that the elementary is where kids start to diverge.
Foundations, yeah.
Yes. So you need to look at the feeder schools for those thriving high schools and see what they are doing to get successful students.
Yeah.
Because yeah,
I
like we can look at our charts we've got last board meeting where, yeah, so it was going up incrementally for either language arts or math, and you get a couple percentage points, but it's still, the gap just never caught up.
my opinion, the key is, once a student falls behind in math, a grade level, 2 grade levels, if there isn't some type of response to intervention, they're gonna continue to be lost. Because if you don't get multiplication down, if you don't get the basics down, and then once they get that in their head and they're sitting in a class and they're like, oh my God, I have no idea what the teacher's even talking about.
Yeah.
Then they just start getting a sense of failure, and I'm gonna give up. I'm never gonna be able to do it. So yeah, I absolutely believe it's at the lower grade levels, and that's where we need to hit them.
Yeah, and I think like if we look at our scores, we're scoring well in our lower levels, and the work. Correct me if I'm wrong, but and the work Marcus is doing, like, I mean, that. Like, people are coming into high school feeling confident in passing algebra, so it's like, we are like. I feel like we've done good work where we like stayed off that division level, like as far as possible, and I just think we need to keep doing that and doing it for more kids. It's moving that bell curve farther to the right.
You have a plan of action then?
We've got a lot of good indicators.
Yes.
And it sounds like we'll get our math team back in the spring for an update on what we've
More math.
learned and more math. So, but yes, some definitely good indicators of some awesome work from staff.
Yeah, thank you guys for all your hard
All
work.
right, thank you. Next 2 slides, then move into questions, so I think we're good.
Thank you both.
Thank you, guys. And I will say is, I'm presenting on it, but it's the teachers that are doing all the heavy lifting.
that are it.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to 7.6, we have board goals with Miss Bree. And our sheets.
Yeah. Thank you for having me back for the second round of this.
Round 2.
Yep. If you remember, we're on a walk through the board goals. It wasn't meant to be a sprint. And first I'm gonna share, tonight is speeding up. Okay, I promise. Real quick, I was like going through making these slides, putting in pictures, and this one was just a stock image I had. And then I was like, oh, I'm gonna put in a cute little bridge. And then I thought about the work that specifically Joel and our administrative teams have done to build bridges this year. And I was like, no, it's got to be more than that. So that's where this picture comes from. And I really am excited to present, particularly on this one. I really am happy about the work we're doing with building bridges. So with that, I'm gonna start us off just with kind of moving through what's on the dashboard there. So student feedback. This is something that this year, years ago we had Youth Truth, we had students filling out the survey. I remember being at the high school and kids were like, really? We have to do Youth Truth, Miss Van Rokel? I'm like, yeah, just do it. Come on, we need your feedback. And then I had the most amazing experience this year, you guys. We were last month presenting with the leadership team, going over the agenda. And sweet Sophie goes, I'm talking about the data that's been collected. And she goes, oh, well, with our leadership survey, we found similar results. I was like, what? You guys are collecting data? And so our high school leadership team is collecting data on their student body. And I was like, that's so cool. And then a week later, I'm in Kim Krofchek's Avid 12 class. What are you guys doing? Oh, we're going over our survey results from surveying the students and staff on perceptions around ELO and what we should do, what we should recommend to administrators moving forward. It's like, wow, they're really getting into data at the high school. And then the same week, Marcus calls me and he goes, hey, Bree, I've got some leadership kids that they want to present their data to you. They've been interviewing their peers, collecting feedback on the school. So that there is a picture of Crook County Middle School students telling me about why the collective feedback was that their favorite class is math, which piggybacks on our recent conversation. So I think even regardless of like the comments that are in here, it's so cool that especially at our secondary level, it's carrying the weight of students collecting students' voices. And that's just the coolest thing I've seen this year, I think. It's one of the best things. To get now more into some of the details, with the elementary feedback, this year we opened it up to let principals kind of choose their pathway with how they wanted to collect student voice. And we've got some varieties across our elementary schools. So Nick at Barnes Butte has done a survey, I want to say about every other month, where he's collected, over 710 student survey results. Crooked River and Steen's Pillar chose to go the route of reporting out their new student interviews. So students that are new to the district in their schools, they're sitting down and talking to. So some of this feedback is more like, oh, there was maybe only 1 or 2 students saying these things, but I still thought it was valuable to report. But the larger data coming mostly from Barnes Butte, like that 95% of students having a trusted adult is really important. A lot of questions kind of revolve around being treated with kindness. We have high levels of students reporting being treated with kindness at the elementary schools. GMH also did a survey. They reported a lot of improvements across the school, positive experiences during field day, and that communications improved. I thought it was really cool to see the opportunities that kids addressed or students addressed with these surveys, and their attention to facilities I found really interesting. And so, of course, they talked about recess and our playgrounds, but also things like larger cafeteria at Crooked River, I think is really important to be paying attention to.
Keep going.
Yep. And music.
Oh, yes.
You knew we wanted to talk about that one. Yes. Actually, Joel and I sat down today and we were looking at strategically across the district how we're going to be working through that music feedback that we got there.
And I wanted to point out to the rest of the board, because some of the new board members don't know, this is a long-standing argument. Crooked River has a different program than other schools in terms of the way it does music. It has a STEM and music combined. So students get a concentrated music during like one semester instead of over the year. So that's, whether that's good or bad has been much debated, but it's interesting to see it show up in the survey.
Conventions and music both showed up. So
Is.
Like he's been planting there, it's a 10-year plan.
Uh-huh. It will all have a fruit.
Yep. And then moving forward to the, secondary schools, many of these things are really good feedback. 93% of students at CCHS said that reported a trusted adult. We heard from the counseling team tonight about trying to improve that even further. That preparation for college, 3.3 out of 5 seems low, but when you think about freshmen and sophomores filling out that survey, it's pretty consistent with what we've seen in the past, I'd say. A lot of students talking about increased opportunities for assemblies, activities, improvements in school culture. The bullying prevention comes up. Sophie's highlighted that was one of the things that came out of their survey. And then again, facilities upgrades. That's been a hot topic among the leadership students at the high school every time we visited them. Course expansion, the high school brought a lot of feedback as well as the middle school. You can see those classes listed there. Moving on to the families and community and staff feedback.
We go back to the high school again.
Of course.
So that preparedness for college, I would encourage you to maybe get more sophisticated in asking that question in future, because when we ask students if they are prepared, they think in two terms. Am I academically prepared and am I economically prepared? And you can get an answer that, I don't feel prepared because they don't know how they're gonna pay for it.
Yes.
And so if you bifurcate the question, you may get a very different response.
Agreed. Okay. We will do that. And I'll talk to students about their surveys. So that's moving to families and community. The Family Steering Committee, this has been one of my favorite things this year as well, bringing families together to talk about how the district's going, things for improvement. Many of those are things we've talked about previously, I want to say, but if you have any specific questions, happy to answer those. Staff, we have a staff steering committee as well, and then we've also gone to every staff, at least one staff meeting this school year to say, Joel sat down with their team and said, how's things going? What's going well? What areas need improvement? And then we take those lists of items back, divide up the tasks, and try to conquer as many of them as we can. Any questions there? Again, I'm trying to move us on a sprint tonight, but I want to take the time to talk about these things because they're important.
Facilities, more facilities, everywhere. Okay.
Okay. Moving forward to community collaboration. So here, this is something that these community partnerships, we last month were lucky to host the Chamber Perk at Crook County High School and show off some of our really great CT programs. And I think that as a district, we've been very invested into getting in front, going to where people are. This weekend, Joel and I are planning to be at wrestling. Did the soccer in the fall, and those things they're just really fun to get to see people, to get to go where people are and talk to them and meet them. And yeah. And then we've had the Building Bridges Committee. It's met twice now. One of the big takeaways was to do, which I'm very excited about it. We need a catchy name still. I'm not 100% convinced, but we're going to do a fun run. Emphasis on the fun part. You can run, you can walk, it's for everyone. And then we're also having a recovery booth at the Patty Pint. And so just, again, looking for all the opportunities we can to get involved and be with our community, I think is very important. Volunteers. So we can see we've got a lot of volunteers across the district. We're so grateful for all the hard work that all these individuals are doing. I think we're trying to be more creative this year too about who we're recruiting and how we're getting them into different jobs. I think Marcus started the Dads at the Door, which was a really cool opportunity. Getting more people back into our Aspire program at the high school. And just, opening our doors to those folks who want to help out in the community. The last thing to talk about is the conferences. So we have really high engagement at the K-5 level. And then we know that it declines with 60% at the middle school and only 10% at the high school. Shout out to Jake Huffman. He sent out a survey many times to families regarding like, hey, are you planning on coming to conferences? Yes, no, or I get my information from Parent Square because we know that parents can with the click of their phone, see their students' grade in real time. And over 150 families responded saying that they get that information from Parent Square. So it's a bit of a shift in how do we remain relevant for those families and make conferences something that are inviting to attend. We've talked about maybe offering Zoom participation or Google Meets, making individualized phone calls to those families. And so those plans are all in the works to try to increase that number by the spring. We've had a couple of secondary events that I think are important to highlight. We had 65 families at the first FAFSA night in the fall, which was a really big turnout. The library was packed full of families. And then 30 families attended the Pathway meeting in the fall. Again, it was something that we saw a lot of people watching the video online, inviting them to come, and we'd love to see that number go up. And so maybe part of that is more videos or how we're delivering that information to our, especially our high school families.
But is that the first time you guys did it this year?
Yeah, the Pathways, so that was the first time we hosted that.
It's the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
They'll continue.
Yeah, that'd be wonderful.
We can do it in conferences.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if we're not chasing the wrong thing.
Yeah.
We have been chasing conference participation for as long as I can remember.
Mm-hmm.
And clearly, we don't have any takers. So, I mean, maybe the thing we ought to be chasing, it's not whether you show up on a designated night, but how many contacts we make throughout the year with parents of our students. I mean, do you touch bases with parents and do you talk to them about their kid and any great job or performance concerns or whatever you want to talk about? But that, I don't, continuing to chase harder and bribe people more to come to what they don't want to come to seems kind of stupid.
Like, they're just not into us.
They don't want to do that. I mean, it's making us do this except ourselves. Why are we doing this?
I don't know if I can say amen in a board meeting, but yes, I think we have tried just about every, videos, food, childcare, combining other events, and props to our high school team for continuing to try.
Right.
But if the outcome we're looking for is parents know about their students' academic progress and can get their questions answered, I don't know if making sure they show up on one night and sit in an arena with a bunch of other parents. So maybe the team can go back and kind of figure out what measures that is, because
It's time.
I
This is help.
Bring hit the nail on the head by saying, I get my information on parents' work, right? I gotta be honest, I will be fully transparent, right, 100% right now. I did not attend one conference when my kids were in high school, not one. Because I knew exactly what was happening in there. I knew exactly what their grades were. I knew all the things. I didn't feel like and no offense in any way, shape, or form, I just didn't feel like I needed to attend one because I knew my kids inside and out and all their work and stuff, so. And that's full
Well,
transparency.
and if I was gonna attend, I did attend online, but it's only because I was on the school board and I had to show up. So, but if I really want to talk about a concern, I'm not gonna go stand in front of a bunch of other parents in an open room and have that conversation.
Right.
That's just.
It's a one-on-one conversation if that's what needs to be had. So, I mean, I've always just kind of been like, oh yeah, I get it, right? Participation and all the things and kudos to our high school for doing everything possible. But I think you finally hit the nail on the head. Parents just are gonna look at the screen and go, yep, my kid is doing well, or I'm gonna pick up the phone and I'm gonna call Mr. Huffman and say, we have a problem and that we need to address it. I'm sure he gets those phone calls. So I do applaud you guys for, doing everything under the sun. Thank you for calling it out, because I was like, I don't know why we're beating this.
This is the definition of insanity, right here.
I feel it.
What's the contact with families? I think, was it in the Building Bridges or the academic with Nick Gilbertson? Where he was talking about what he was encouraging his teachers to do, which is call a certain amount of families. Every so often, so that at some point throughout the year, you're making multiple contacts with the family, not just for problems, but to say, hey, they did a good job. So later on, when they had a problem, they can call and say, hey, look, I'm not just ragging on the child, but we have a good relationship and I see an issue. That, I think, has had a dramatic impact, because I've talked to a couple parents, talked to my wife who received one of those calls too. And it has been received very positively. But that extra point of contact, I think, has also helped in general across the board with
Communication.
those students. And not just communication, but getting those students to perform.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, this Friday is a professional development day, and I know that the high school, the middle school is carving out specific time for making phone calls. So making that a priority. We know that this is a time in the year where, we can really motivate kids and help them turn things around. So they're being intentional about that. So kudos to Jake and Marcus for leading that work.
And I know it's more work to make those phone calls, but those parent-teacher conference days are a slog for teachers too, because that
Yeah.
is a long day.
Jake, is there anything you would add to that? I mean, all this.
I think the teachers would be really thrilled to hear what you're saying right now. We are doing phone calls this Friday, and then we're doing a positive call throwdown where teachers get to put a ticket in for a positive call we make, and we put them 5 winners this morning Tuesday. So it's something that we're already working on, but I think teachers would be thrilled to hear Scott's.
If you have any fun stories that come out of the positive call, so that would be like cool just to get.
Pretty competitive bunch. So
Yes.
Hey, continuing our walk, right? All right. I don't have any fun, cute story about this picture. We're just gonna jump right into connected, safe, and stable. The first number that jumped out at us here is the engagement. So midway through the year, we're, around 60% with both middle school and high school, 62 middle school, 66 high school. We talked last meeting about, engaging Parks and Rec and getting numbers from Parks and Rec. I think it also speaks to the students in the middle school that are involved in dance that we don't have that data in our system right now. So those students that aren't identified in this number, we want to call them down, find out what they're involved in. And if they're not involved, have a really intentional conversation about how we can get them engaged in some of our curricular activities around the middle school and high school.
There's a bunch of kids involved in dance.
There is.
The recital.
You and I both know we've been to those recitals, Kevin, and they're packed. So yes, there's, you think of 4-H, our barns at fair are packed full of students. We want to make sure that we're representing all the things that these students are involved in and have.
Too, when we were looking at some of the data, like the overlap of the red kiddos and the low yellow kiddos and them not being engaged in some extracurricular activity was super high. So I think, and I was at the wrestling tournament this like Saturday. I was just like above and beyond impressed with the wrestling coaches. And, I was looking at this group of like crazy, awkward, amazing boys. And I was just thinking, I bet you could take the data on each one of those kids and assume that they probably have like good engagement at school. Cause I see how connected they feel to their team and to their coaches. And so I think there's just so much goodness in these teams and these coaches, and it's really powerful.
Yeah. I say this is something that we care really, really deeply about in this district, and it's one of the things that makes us special. So we've got to move that number up. Moving forward with this section, there's some numbers reported from our FAN program that we're right on track to serve more families than we did last year. We do a monthly meeting with the FAN advocates, and it's a really positive group of people that are just so dedicated to serving those students with their unique needs. We've gotten into a really good system of collecting student feedback from leadership students at the high school, from stopping by Pioneer, talking to students. We want to expand that further into more than just leadership students. So that's the only action item there. But I think we've made some great headway in collecting that feedback so far this year. Any further questions in that section before we move forward? Okay. Looking at all the different components that we see of those safe classrooms, buildings, and buses. You've all received presentations on the CC Way. There's also aligned anti-bullying campaigns happening at the elementary. The Kelso's Choice curriculum that's in there, the students at the high school last week when we were talking about bullying prevention, we're like, oh, remember Kelso's Choices. So I think it's really cool that we have some things that are just really ingrained that students experience K-12. The transportation department, Last month was Ride the Bus month. I know I enjoyed riding a school bus. Scott, you did too. Really neat to see those systems in place because we've heard about the tablets. We've seen, oh, there's going to be seating charts and all these things, and to see it actively working and just to see that the care that our bus drivers put into making sure those kids are being dropped off with a safe adult and making sure they're known by name. The one that I rode with said that she brings little treats for students on Fridays. I mean, they care really deeply about our kids. So continuing to invest in those systems and making sure that serving the bus drivers and the students is just so important. In terms of SPED protocols, we recently sent out a survey, and there will be some follow action items from that team will be working on. But again, positive improvements have been made in that area so far this year. And then I won't spend too much time talking about the long range facilities because I believe Leland's also given an update, and there's lots of positive work happening there. It's been, again, I think that one, again, from my perspective, goes back to the student voices though, and hearing what our students want out of our facilities. And, last month maybe it was a month ago, maybe it was 2 months ago, we met with students on, they said they needed updates to the bathrooms of the high school. And Leland came, heard from the students, and then there was a list of action items developed from that. So it's nice to feel like those changes are happening really quickly for some of those small things that we can get even while we're planning these bigger facility upgrades.
Going back to transportation for a second, I did have that amazing opportunity to go ride the bus. Thank you very much. They do incredible things with managing for good discipline and for the logistics of how they load the buses. The one thing I would encourage all of you to do is go take a walk through the bus barn. I was astonished at the conditions under which we are asking people to work. That is a building that has not gotten a lot of attention and desperately needs some attention and needs an upgrade to modern times. And I would encourage you to go see for yourselves. I think you'll instantly see what I'm talking about when you're in there. That is not Crook County putting its best foot forward.
I believe Scott mentioned it only took him 17 years on the board to get to the bus barn.
But don't take that long. That's what I'm telling you. That's worth seeing.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those departments that we don't think about unless we hear a big issue or see a blow up on social media. So yeah, even though it is not Ride the Bus month, it still is an interesting experience. So if any of you are interested, reach out. We can definitely get you a transportation department tour, and we'll choose a short route to ride. So thank you, Mr. Cooper, for taking advantage.
And if you're lucky, you will win more than you lose at rock, paper, scissors, and you will feel good. That's how we entertain ourselves on the bus.
Right, we're in the home stretch right here. So the strong and stable operations, we talked a lot about we've done a lot of staff recognition this year. Vision and value shout out cards are something that are pretty ingrained into our schools, which I think is very cool. Monthly recognitions at the staff meeting, staff within the buildings do staff members of the month, things like that. So lots and lots of celebration. We can always do more though. So we're always looking for more opportunities to recognize our people because I truly believe we have some of the best people in Crook County and amazing classified staff, certified staff that are pouring their hearts into these jobs. IA trainings, we've offered many this year. Some of the takeaways though from that SPED survey are looking at more specific trainings. What other trainings can we provide those staff? And then just oh yeah.
Oh, sorry, we don't need to go into detail about this because I know we're sprinting.
Oh,
But
good.
like, because I read the IA survey and like what training keeps coming up, but like training in what? Like what's the gap? I don't.
So it's
Yeah.
a really good question. So we had a push this year specifically to say, what trainings do classified staff need? And I think we have 10 times more opportunities, paid opportunities than we ever have. So we kind of laid out an initial plan, and then we did a mid-year check-in. And I believe it was actually Amber that went out to ask that exact question. What exact trainings do you need? And we've heard a lot from an interesting theme is, hey, you need to train those people over there. We're good. So we're continuing to dive into that to say,
Humans.
what do you need? And then also just really pinning people down on like, we have, Anna did an awesome job of setting aside some funding. So we will pay people. We just need to say, what exactly do you need? And a lot of it has been really practical to, teach me how to deal with small group reading when I have behaviors when I'm working with a bunch of kids. So it's a good question because we're continuing to, like we should, ask people, are we hitting the target? And if not, what is the target? So we've got a number of systems on that.
Yeah, so lastly, 80% teacher retention. We're pretty proud of that number. We hope it just gets stronger and stronger. The 77% of school principal retention, that's looking at only school principals. So there was 2 changes last year, kind of drove that number down. We hope to have lots of administrator stability. And then the other thing that we're doing as a district, specifically with our admin team, is always thinking about our leadership pipeline and encouraging young leaders, growing people to reach their full capacity, right? And come into roles that they feel happy and fulfilled in. So that's work that we're very invested in. And I think that gets us to the end of our walk, you guys. Further questions?
Back up
Yeah.
to that bullet point called reduce PERS rates. Under what scenario is that a green light?
Under my confidence in Anna. I think that's,
I mean, it's
I'll let
somebody's
you,
fault,
yeah.
but by no means is that a green light.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's not a this year solution. It's not something we could do this year. It would be something we would do down the road. And I think where it comes from is being able to potentially prepay into the UAL. And so by having money in the PERS reserve when that opportunity arises, and then also being able to do additional PERS bonds. And
That's
so
not gonna reduce our PERS rate. That's just gonna reduce the rate of growth. It's still gonna go up.
it actually it does reduce our PERS rate.
It reduces our UAL rate.
Mhm.
Yeah, but it's still gonna be like more than it was last year.
Tomato.
So we could actually reduce, just like they did back in 2002 and 2003 when the school district purchased PERS bonds.
Right.
And then what happens is you have your PERS rate, and then from your investment earnings, you've got this big negative that brings that down. So when that happens again, we've got a green light, but we can't do it
That
this
only
year.
brings down the overall rate. It does not bring down the overall what you're paying for PERS.
Well,
You're not paying
it's
as
a
much
combined-
as you would pay, but you're still paying.
Yeah,
And
of
paying more
of
than
the 5 different things we have for PERS rates, when you combine them all together. Not a green light this year.
Yellow.
Not
Change it to
yellow.
yellow.
Change it to yellow. But being able to put money into the PERS reserves, that's a green light.
Great, any questions?
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Okay. We're gonna move to 7.7, long-range facilities planning update with Mr. Leland. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Welcome to the hot seat.
Yeah,
Thanks for being here.
So last Wednesday, we had our 3rd long range facilities committee meeting. That's the 3rd of 4, so we have 1 left. The group that we have, they're all really great. I've heard several people that have been on the committee talk to me about how well it's working and how much they actually enjoy being on the committee. One of the things that we've been doing, other than building a long-range facilities plan, is we've been trying to get feedback from both staff and community members as to what future bond projects might look like. So we've developed quite a bit of information, and at the last meeting, we had that kind of condensed, and we'll get you that information at the April board meeting so that the board can see what that stuff looks like. And then we're still on track to be able to have the committee present a long-range facilities plan to the board for approval in April. That's about it.
They're good meetings.
Do you have any student representation on here?
We had 3 middle school kids last time and they were great. Yeah.
What was their perspective like? What, they don't want the ceiling to leak?
You know,
Let's do the ceiling.
that wasn't what came up.
No.
They wanted
Locker rooms.
In locker rooms and showers, so they could close the curtains on the showers, but
Not even curtains, no curtains.
there's no curtains in there. But everybody tells me that they don't ever use the showers, but maybe that's why, so.
Use the walls to change maybe.
Maybe they might use the stalls to change.
They
We
would
didn't,
use the shower if they had curtains.
they might.
One can hope.
It wouldn't be that hard to work on that. The locker rooms in that building, you can compare them to transportation building quite honestly. They're
I'm gonna
nice.
use you just to shout to Sophie in the back again, because I think getting the student leadership involved with the bond measure could be critical. Getting
It will be
them,
critical.
getting them talking to the community, even figuring out, organizing how these things work would be fantastic.
Yeah, I really enjoy listening to what the students have to say. Because there's a lot of things that like with the high school, that the group that we met with them, most of them, I asked the question, I'm like, have you told anybody about these things? And they were like, we don't know who to tell. So
People who vote.
we're actually coming up with a solution for that too. So if there's issues in the bathrooms, they'll have a way to contact somebody so that we find out that there's issues going on in there.
I still would love to, like, and we don't need to solve this tonight, but like on the radar, like. Find a way if we could somehow incorporate into like maybe a leadership class curriculum or something, like walking through like how do you put together a process, or how do you like advocate, like those are just like civil engagement, like it feels like such a great,
I need that course.
like, I know, sign me up.
Some of the high school students that we did talk to are actually interested in how the whole political process
Exactly
works
that.
regarding that, so.
Like that feels like a really good intent for kids.
Perfect.
Thank you. Yep, thanks.
Appreciate it.
Look at us, friend.
Okay, 7.8, local service plan. It just says written report. I don't know.
I'll take this one.
What is- thank you.
You'll find in your packet, this gray local service plan from the High Desert ESD. This is an annual, kind of technical routine that we have. Where the ESD, if you think of this gray packet as a menu. And the ESD serves all the local regional school districts. They put together a menu of the services they provide. Our school district mainly focuses on SPED services, assistive technology. We've used them for technology a lot previously, and we're kind of shifting our model.
Away from the networks.
They are required to get all district school boards to approve the menu, which is this. And then later in the year, kind of, I believe we're set for March or April, then Anna, Eric, we sit down with them and choose what we're gonna order off the menu. So tonight, you're just approving the menu. This is something we do every year. And then in April, we'll sit down with them and say how we're allocating our funding.
Don't put it down.
Any questions on the LSP?
This has never happened, but what if we said no?
It's a good, because it's all legislative. I mean, they have to get our approval. I think what would happen would be we'd have to say why we're saying no, and then go to them and say, hey, can you adjust it this way? And then they'd have to take it back to all the other districts to say that's the case.
Along those lines,
No.
like hypothetically, is there penalty for choosing out of a service?
So we're looking at potentially adjusting our technology, particularly on our network services. There's not a penalty per se. We would just have to figure out the funding of making sure that we're still able to use that funding, whether we're going somewhere else that we can do that. So those are conversations we've already had around this technology plan.
And you need action on this.
I move to approve the menu.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second. Let's try to give Kevin his chance.
I know.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the High Desert ESD local service plan menu. Do we have further discussion? Okay, we're gonna go ahead and vote. Kevin?
Yeah.
Scott?
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
Kelsey,
Yes.
and yes as well. I was worried. I wasn't.
I'm thinking about voting, just to see what happens.
Yep.
We've got important priorities, Scott. I can't be chasing this one around.
8.0 school board, we have 8.1 superintendent appointment process update and survey feedback by 3 and control. Thank you. Back to the hot seat you got.
Yeah,
It's okay.
I took this whole chair.
That's right. Good evening. Thanks for having us up. We're here to report back on the stakeholder survey that was sent out regarding the possible appointment of Dr. Hoff as our permanent superintendent. As a reminder, the survey was sent via Parent Square to staff members and parents, and then also posted on the district website, posted on Facebook, and then was also picked up by a couple of news channels as advertised. If you look at the second slide there, it starts going over some of the responses. There's a total of 404 survey responses completed between January 5th and 26th, with the majority coming in the first week that it was out. There's a good mix of responses, about 38% for parents and family, 35% from staff members, and 25% from community members. First question was, what is your role? Sorry, it's right there. I already went over that. Sorry. Second question was support for permanent appointment. It's just a simple yes or no question. 388 came back yes versus 14 no. And then the third question, how comfortable are you with Dr. Hoff leading our school district in a permanent capacity as superintendent? And it was a scale from 1 to 10, and the average that came back was 9.4. On the next slide there, the question that was posed is what is your satisfaction level with Dr. Hoff's leadership in these areas? And there's 8 different areas there. Kind of breaking down the bars. The longest bar on each section is the very satisfied. So as you can see, that has the most responses. The second longest bar in all the sections was satisfied. And interesting note, if you comboed very satisfied with satisfied is above 90% for each section. From the other 3, neutral, dissatisfied, and very dissatisfied, if you added those up for each section, is below 10% for each section as well.
Did we have a no opinion?
Neutral.
Neutral. Yeah. And the next slide is Bree's going to cover.
All right, so the survey ended with 2 open-ended questions. The first asking about Dr. Hoff's strengths as a leader. And the vast majority of these responses emphasized trust, stability, communication, and student-centered leadership. And noting particularly during periods of district turmoil, to kind of break down some of the mentions of those things. 109 mentions around community and engagement. A lot of comments about being visible and being known. Staff and student focus, 89 mentions. Communications, 67 mentions. Character and relatability, calm, trustworthy, positive, and approachable, 64 mentions. Leadership and vision, 58 mentions. Dedicated, direction, work ethic, a lot of those things mentioned there. The 3 emerging themes were first, the visible and relational leader, highlighting Dr. Hoff's ability to build relationships as a primary reason for support among those filling out the survey. Stakeholders feel a strong sense of security because of Dr. Hoff is present. He is seen in the hallways, community events, which has built significant trust. Building bridges between schools and the broader community. Respondents highlighted that his boots on the ground presence and genuine interest in people make staff feel seen, students valued, and the community connected to the district. The next theme was trust building, communication, integrity, and transparency. Many reported strong communication skills, sharing that he communicates openly, listens to all sides, and leads with professionalism and fairness. His consistent messaging and ethical approach have helped restore confidence across staff, families, and the community. Deep understanding of Crook County's values as a resident and parent. Feedback highlights his ability to use data and clear communication to advocate for the district's needs, making stakeholders feel informed rather than just told. The third theme was steady, student-centered leadership. Many respondents noted that Dr. Hoff has helped refocus the district on its core mission, serving students while providing continuity and direction during challenging times, maintaining calm and focus in difficult times, making thoughtful, data-informed decisions without losing sight of student needs, supporting staff rather than micromanaging, and prioritizing student learning, well-being, and opportunity. And 73% of those 404 respondents did fill out this open-ended question. So that's really exciting. Moving forward to opportunities for growth. This feedback was mainly focused on being constructive, offering advice and opportunities. Many respondents stated that these areas will naturally improve over time. And some of them, kind of focused on the district and maybe said like not directed at Dr. Hoff specifically, but the district or something like that. So about 72% of the responses indicated none, NA, or keep doing what you're doing. So of the 404 folks that filled out the survey, 54% of them answered this question, but 72% of those people responded with an NA or a keep it up, good luck, something like that. Some of the emerging themes were 31 mentions of growth in facilities, building maintenance, district growth, things like that. Staff and culture was mentioned 22 times. And then refining accountability, ensuring consistent expectations for all departments was mentioned 11 times. The themes here were system level consistency. Many respondents noted that these are district-wide or historical system issues, not problems created by Dr. Hoff, but areas they hope he will continue to strengthen, ensuring that the same high standards for communication performance, facilities improvements, and department growth are impacted from the superintendent's office to all levels. The next was handling difficult situations, and many of these said in the event of or when the time comes to, things like that. His compassion and desire to listen are strengths. Respondents want those paired with clear, decisive actions when needed, including holding staff accountable, saying no, even when it's unpopular, and communicating hard truths directly. The third theme was communication clarity around vision and expectations, clearer articulation of long-term vision priorities, more proactive communication during crises or sensitive issues, regular predictable public updates, and less responsive to like social media pressures or loud voices. And that was the qualitative data analysis.
Well, first of all, I love this, and I think this is really accurate, so congratulations to you. I know a lot of blood, sweat, and tears went into, this output, and it's interesting to me, like this communication thing that keeps coming up, because I'm like, oh, it's like similar to the training. I'm like, what more communication? I mean, and maybe that's a good question for us to ask in the listening and feedback sessions, because I don't know about you guys, but my phone blows up with like communications from schools, and I don't want to be dismissive of that, but I think I just don't understand where that gap is around that kind of communication piece.
I think the listening sessions are spot on. That'll be a really great opportunity to ask some questions about that. Absolutely.
Maybe describe your idea of the format for the listening sessions so we know what to expect.
Yes, so different audiences, questions will revolve around the themes of leadership style and trust, communication, transparency, school safety and support. All of those are listed there. And these will be more open-ended questions. So we're not looking for yeses or nos. We're looking for things like, how have you perceived communication? And being able to ask more whys behind those questions. So follow-ups will be encouraged in those opportunities. They're meant to be pretty discussion-based.
The preset questions the same at every session, right?
Yes, but we do expect some of those things to deviate. Maybe the student questions might be more tailored to students, things like that. Themes remaining, but questions targeted towards those groups.
Hard cap on time.
45 minutes. Yep, we want to respect people's time.
System of aggregating that feedback or recording it back.
That'll be us. No, yeah, so we'll Tammy will be there taking notes. We will be recording these videos, so those are able to be uploaded perhaps into, an Otter AI or something that can help with disaggregating some of the data perhaps. some notebook LM perhaps, so that we do think that using AI is a good thing for this because it offers some opportunities to, no bias can be involved in the AI perhaps, so. Mhm. But the human element, we will always go back to it and be reviewing and making sure that it's representative of the voices there.
And organized in a similar fashion as the open-ended questions in the survey.
I think consistency is.
Yeah. The last thing that I think we might have forgot to mention was 404 responses. This was shared out really widely. Our family and staff combined survey last spring, got 250 responses. So this shows a lot of engagement in this process, I'd say, even though that number maybe feels small in comparison to our community.
Like in the amount of people that took the time to write the open-ended questions, I mean, I think people aren't just checking the boxes, they're really taking the time, and I think the results are phenomenal.
Thank you both very much for all of the hard work on this. It's greatly appreciated.
It's great.
Looking forward to this listening session.
Do you want to give the last statement about?
Oh, yeah, another thing that we forgot. Some people, there's been a little bit of misconceptions about the listening sessions. Joel will not be at these sessions. These are, I've had a few people say like, oh, I'm not gonna be able to make it. Can you please tell Joel that I won't be there? I'm like, well, yeah, but then I started to dig into that and it's not an opportunity for people to ask Joel questions and Joel to engage. It's an opportunity for the board to ask questions, or the representatives of the board there to ask questions, us to ask questions, and then present that feedback back to you. Joel will not be present.
No Joel. No Joel. Perfect.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, 8.2, board spokesperson for superintendent appointment process. So we have before us that we're going to discuss the possibility of appointing an individual as a board spokesperson for the superintendent appointment process.
It's
obviously we see the board officers have been attached for reference. In case you wanted to read that. So I'm going to open this up for discussion. We feel we need a spokesperson on the board to talk to the media when they have questions. Do we have a board spokesperson that would want to raise their hand on that or be appointed by any means? Does anybody have any thoughts on this?
I do. Why do we need a board spokesperson?
Well,
What's so special about this process?
we don't have to have a board spokesperson. It was brought up as a potential.
Right. I know it's in the policy, but to me, who knows? One of us may not like Joel and it may be, a 2 to 3 vote. Who knows? We ought to all be able to explain our position at the end. And when you appoint a spokesperson, you lock in one point of view. Not that really all that would about that. I think we ought to, I personally don't think we should have a spokesperson. I think each of us should be free to speak as we see fit.
And whatever the day brings.
We all know none of you are gonna call the media back, so there's only gonna be one person. Whether it's official or not.
Necessarily a true statement.
To be fair, I
That's a
responded
true
to you.
experience.
Just now phone calls.
Right, does anybody have any further discussion?
Nope.
So we're leaving this as
The
a.
board can nominate despite. Just need.
If we are good with the way things are rolling now, we can keep rolling that unless someone has something further they would like to state.
Nope. I'm fine with it as is.
Mr. Bradley, do you have anything?
Nope.
Thanks,
I'm gonna
Scott.
ask Mr. Cooper, but thank you, Mr. Cooper. Okay. Whew, okay, upcoming dates. We're gonna jump right in. Superintendent appointment listening sessions, administrators and confidential staff, February 11th at 4 o'clock at the district office. Another listening session for the students, February 12th at 11 a.m. at the Crook County High School Conference Room. No school, directed staff development day on February 13th. No school President's Day, February 16th. Another listening session for certified staff on February 17th at 4:30 at the district office. Another listening session for parents and community members, February 18th, 6 p.m. at the district office. Superintendent listening session for classified staff, February 23rd, 4:30 PM at the district office. Another listening session for parents and community members on February 24th at 6 PM at the district office. Academic excellence opportunities and support committee meeting, February 25th, 4 PM at the district office. Superintendent appointment listening session for the Spanish-speaking families will be February 26th at 6 PM at the district office. We have a long-range facilities planning committee meeting, March 4th at 4 PM at the Crooked River Library. School board meeting is March 9th, 6:30 at the district office. And then we have a no school grading day, March 20th. And then we have no school spring break, March 23rd through the 27th. Moving to 10.0, public comments. If you wish to make a public comment, please complete a comment card prior to the start of public comments. If you're viewing online, please indicate that you would like to speak in the comment section. When you're recognized, please state your name and any group you're representing. Keep your comments to no more than 4 minutes. A bell will chime when 30 seconds are remaining, and another bell will chime when the 4 minutes have ended. A group of visitors with a common purpose should designate a spokesperson for the group. If you wish to request that the board consider an agenda item, please contact the superintendent at least 1 week prior to the next board meeting. And per policy BDDH, the board will not hear comments regarding any individual district staff member. And if you have a complaint about a specific staff member, please contact the superintendent or the board chair. So at this time, Ms. Tammy, do we have any public comment cards? Received any? And Mr. Ryan, do we have anybody online?
No.
We do not. So I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting adjourned at 8:56.